Hey everybody, I just woke up from a nap and I've been thinking about making this video now for a little bit because of requests. And also, there's a young lady that just contacted me. She's only 17 and she's going through it with her narcissistic mother. And so I'm like, I need to get on here and talk about this. My name is Aya. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel, A Very Good Wife. You know what would be a good idea is if I had some blue lotus flowers. I'm putting frankincense and myrrh on right now. But some blue lotus flowers would be awesome. For those of you who don't know, I'm currently in Peru. I've been in Peru, in Cusco, for since March, really. And I have been going through a hell of an awakening process. More más. And I had a rough couple of nights. Seriously. With spirit. So where would I start in talking about going no contact? One of the fairy friends, you can join my channel and become part of the fairy friends. When we reach 10 people, we will start getting together and doing what we want. First, it'll start off as Q&As, and then I'm sure it would develop into other things. I have group trauma healing ideas. I have like feng shui, vastu shastra, painting ideas, but then there's what you want to do as well. That is always taken into consideration, especially if we're getting together in a group. But no contact. So I didn't know that I was being abused, or that I mean, I knew something was off, I knew something was wrong, but how it was framed to me all my life is that I was the problem. I asked for too much. I was arrogant. I was this. It was just like it was like me. I would go to my mom and be like, what can I do? Like, what is wrong? What is wrong? Because every day it was a problem. Like from birth to, I say, about 11 years old. My mom pretty much she was neglectful. She didn't really spend time to raise me. Everybody else raised me, or I raised myself mainly. And I helped her raise her kids. But when you're a kid, you don't know any better. You know, like she was she didn't really participate in like getting to know me or building a relationship with me. But when I turned like 12, 13 years old, that's when your animus starts to rise and you start actually like becoming who you are out in the world around that age. It's a very initiatory age to where it's a very crucial time to where you start going from being a little kid to the woman or the man that you're going to be. And for a narc, because they're not developed past that stage, they're not. They see you as competition. and they're like another kid with you on the schoolyard. And so they're like trying to stop you and bullying you and picking on you and laughing at you and stuff like that. And it's very weird because you're looking to them for guidance and for maturity and for a shoulder, because puberty is painful. It's painful for my breast and hips and booty, and everything's changed. I know for me, being a spiritual little girl, you know, sensitive, spiritual, and just my family is very Alabama swamp, okay, and very Caribbean with their spirituality, and it's in me. And I'm also an advanced soul, and so life, I just saw life from a different perspective and point of view, and it wasn't it was made fun of because my mom wanted to be popular. Like, she always wanted to be like a popular high school cheerleader, and that's what she wanted me to be. And well, me and all my sisters, I have 2 other sisters, and since I wasn't that, she thought that I was going to be bullied and made fun of, or that I wasn't going to be cool, and but I didn't care though. Like, she never asked me how I handled it, because I handled it very well. I wasn't bullied because I stood up for myself. And I also stood up for other people that other people bullied. Like, I was the person that's like, who are you? If you're going to fight somebody, fight me. Like, that's the person I was. And so I was kind of infamous for being a loner, and not fitting in anywhere. I hang out with everybody. But anyway, but she didn't know that. So she projected her fears and judgments and all of that onto me. And it was confusing for me because I was looking at her like a love object, a mom, but she's not a mom. And so I remember maybe, I don't know if there's comments here. I don't see any. All right. I remember right before the shadowing of my Saturn return is when I started asking questions within, of course, for those of you who have been through it or are going through it or about to go through it. It's the shadowing of your Saturn return is a precursor, and prepares you to enter into that portal of another initiation. The Saturn return initiation is about taking stock of the past, your childhood, and is it lining up with where you're going, who you are, and what you're becoming? And for me, it was absolutely not. And when it doesn't align, you review. And so in reviewing my life, I was like, you know what? I never asked my mom or talked to my mom about what I feel and what I want and who I am. It's always about her. I realized that. And there was a fear that rose up inside of me, like, why can't I talk to her? You know, I started like wondering, like, why can't I talk to my mom? And then I started asking her, why can't I talk? Like, why can't we talk? Why don't we ever really talk? Or why did you used to say this or do this? Or why were you like this? Why did you used to hit me? Why did you used to, you know, the questions I never asked her. And so then I saw her demons really come out to protect that narcissistic wound that she has, to never really be authentic and real or take accountability, because she started like cussing me out directly. Like, in the past, in my childhood, it was all behind my back. Like, people would come and tell me, your mom said this about you, your mom said that about you, which was also very weird and disturbing. So she was like always campaigning against me because she couldn't control me. Like I've never been the type of person that just because she said something, I believed it. Or just because she, you know, wanted me to be a certain way, I became it. I didn't care to please her in that way. I felt like I need to be true to myself. And so that's what me and my mom would like be arguing about. And I'm like, I didn't understand why she needed me to be something other than myself. I mean, I understand it now. But when I was a kid, I was like, why are we arguing about this? You know? Uh, um, but anyway, when I started asking her, she started cussing me out. And our conversations began to be confrontational and violent. You know, the last time I spoke to her, I remember she called me back after a conversation we had where I was asking her questions, and she was like, if you don't fucking like me, then don't fucking call me. Like, me confronting her about her behaviors, the words she says, hurt me, basically telling her to, asking her to take accountability for her part in our broken relationship. And she didn't want to do it. And she said, I always do this to her. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know? But anyway, when I hung up the phone, because she hung up on me. I guess she thought that would get me off of her and that we would eventually end up talking again, because my narcissistic mother's theory was that families fight. That's what we do. We fight and we get back. And that's never been anything that I wanted to participate in, because non-peace rubs me the wrong way, like rubbing a cat the wrong way. I just cannot. You know, I'd rather not have you around. I'd rather go no contact. So at that point, from that point when she cussed me out, and I realized I couldn't get through to her after trying to get through to her all of my life, basically, I stopped talking to her. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore, and I'm not talking to her anymore. I think I was around 27, 28, and I'm like 39 now. And so the phases of going no contact, whoa. So for me, it was all about me going after my dreams and doing what I want to do. And at that time, I wanted to be an artist and sell things at festivals. And so I started going after that. I feel like what helps you along when you go no contact is having goals, whether they become something huge or not, because when you aren't allowed to go through stages of development, you put things on a pedestal, and your goals and your dreams and relationships are larger than life, because you don't know what reality is, seriously. And I'll say that because you might have daydreamed about your life and how you want it to be instead of living it for a long time. I know I did, because she didn't like I said, she allowed me to live from like 0 to 11, and then she started stopping me every time I tried to do something. Like, I have a lot of different interests. For those of you who have a stellium in Libra, you have a lot of interest, you know, and it's hard to choose one because Libra energy has a hard time making decisions. And so I remember in 9th grade, I went to night school at the community college for interior design, right? And which I'm starting to get back into. But anyway, I almost got my certification, and then she decided that she didn't feel like driving me anymore. And then she would blame me and say, you never finish anything. And I'd be like, isn't this about a bunch of nothing, you know? So narc moms, I know that they don't necessarily care to see the correlation between their actions, their words, and how their children turn out, because a narc mom will quickly call their children a loser, but they participated and creating someone who loses, because they sift you at the knees every time you begin to sprout. You know, they sift your growth. That's what narcissistic moms do, because they have a abandonment wound, and they don't want anybody to ever leave them, like ever leave. It's like lascivious. It's nefaric. How bad they don't, that wound, that how far they'll take that wound. Okay. Now I know my mom knows what she's doing, because my sister called Iyanla Fix My Life, right? My little sister, my youngest sister, the youngest. And they called my mom, and she did not answer the phone. Now, there are some narcissists that, well, she ended up blocking them, because those producers will stalk you, basically. That's how I know she knows that she's wrong. Some narcissists don't know, and they'll get on TV and act a fool and be like, what? What am I doing? They are wrong. They're crazy, you know what I'm saying? But she knows that she'll get her ass handed to her. So she ain't going on no damn ayamas, okay? You can forget about that. Miss Patricia, the little bit of the image that she has left, she would like to keep that intact. Okay, so, and that's part of me going no contact. So as I went no contact and began to find myself again, because I spent most of my 20s living out my teenage years. I lived like a teenage girl. Like I had no responsibilities. I partied a lot. I forgot all about any of my dreams, or working hard towards my dreams. I didn't really have the energy. What's up, Sanna? I love your name. That's beautiful. I really didn't have the energy, the belief in myself, or the mental capacity to go after my dreams anyway, because I was always torn down. So being in a narcissistic family system creates a negative introject, which is why I created my podcast Trigger Happy, and I'm making the workbook to go along with it, because during my worst years of healing, it was my triggers that led me through and out of that space to where I felt controlled by my narcissistic mother. When you go no contact, you can be no contact, but the psychological wounds, the spiritual wounds, the emotional wounds still live with you, and you have to learn to live with yourself. And living with yourself, you begin to see how much you hate your insides. Like you feel so much self-hatred for how much you're triggered and how you feel inside, you know. And so there has to be a way out of that. And I figured a way out, you know, which is part of my initiatory journey to be able to share with other people how to get out. But after I went no contact, that was just the beginning of my work on myself. And I cried like every day for a year once I realized I hadn't cried in like 10 years or so. I just cried. I sat in a tub. I was in so much pain. My body couldn't move. My friends and my cousin thought I was going crazy. Everybody was like, I would hear people in the living room like, should we call somebody? Should we call somebody to come get her? But I knew that I was doing the right thing and I was on the right path. Even though it looked crazy, I was becoming more sane. You know, instead of disassociating from my feelings and denying my feelings all the time, I began to be real. Like going no contact helps you be real, because keeping your narcissistic family system around, not only did I end up going no contact with my mom, but after maybe a few years, I went no contact from my whole family, because they did not keep me safe. They would tell her where I was, and she ended up stalking me. Now, during that time as well, I began to create a blog, which I don't really promote, because it was like a diary, and how I am as a content maker, a writer, or whatever, or artist. I allow people to find me. I like it when it's natural. You know, I like when people just kind of like, I look in the comments my blog or of my YouTube channel, and people were like, I just found the spirit led me to you. That's what I pray for. Like, those are the people I want to work with. Those are the people I want to talk to. I don't try to force anything, but I will put that blog in the this description, because when I read it back, it's from like almost 10 years ago. I think the last time I wrote on it was maybe 2016, 2017, but when I began it, it was 2012 or 2011, I don't know. Chronologic, and because I didn't have anybody to talk to. That's the issue. This is why people don't go no contact, because it does isolate you from your what you would have considered your support system. And I saw somebody in the comments say, one of the fairy friends say that she was scared to death. And I did go through periods, honestly, where I was scared to death, but I forced myself to even like leave my best friends, my cousin, like I was living off of people. Like I was living from couch to couch for a while. That's that Pluto in the second house. Like I was trying to be an artist and it wasn't working out. And I saw that I was causing other people pain and suffering and getting on everybody's nerves. And so I decided to take responsibility for my life and do things that I don't necessarily want to do, which is get a job. I didn't want to get a job, a regular job. Those of you want to know why I'm smoking Blue Lotus flowers. Blue Lotus helps you to be present and childlike in your energy. Okay, yes, and the reason why I didn't want to get a job is because I was trying to fight for my inheritance, what my mom had taken from me my whole life. Like all my life, all I did was paint and sing and dance and create and write and design, like fashion design, interior design. And so I was like, I'll be damned if I get a job. I'm going to be myself, but it don't work like that. It just doesn't. No, not if you were cut off from all of your resources of being able to do that and people don't know you. That has to be built, you know. And so part of the contention of being a daughter or a son of a narc in a narc family is that you feel like you should be somewhere, you know. And part of going no contact is realizing, self-actualizing, and actually figuring out how to get there. And how you get there is you raise yourself from the point to where your growth was stunted, you know, or you could be doing like trauma healing for your from birth, you know, because honestly, narcissistic mothers are only psychically connected to you to get what they want. It's not so that you can become who you are designed to be. And so they're peering into your psychic energy so that they can manipulate you to get what they want, because they're still at the age of 6 or 3, you know, where they're manipulating their world to bend to them. They want everybody to please them and make them happy. Okay. Going no contact. What would I say about 10 years of being no contact? Well, the stalking part was scary because I wasn't ready to see her again. Like my energy, like it shocked me into a Kundalini rising. Like that's how bad it was, like a punch to my root chakra when I saw her. Like she showed up at my job. I write about this in my blog, and I quit my job like the next day. And this is when I went no contact from my siblings, because they didn't take my process seriously, because they thought it was, oh, that's just mom in Asia, you know, that's my birth name, Asia. Going through that's what they do, not knowing that she would on them eventually as well. That's part of the process of going no contact for the family. The pressure was all on me. So that's why my mom sought me out, because what ends up happening is that she didn't want it to be revealed that I wasn't crazy, that she's crazy. It's a big game just to protect this one wound. It's like, lady, just like be real and be like, I have issues, and then you won't have to do all this scurrying around and stalking people, whatever. Like, my mom actually got a detective to stalk me. Yes, she did. And a lot of times when I have lived with people, it was for protection. I didn't tell people, but I was scared. Like, I was scared a lot of times. And eventually she left me alone, you know. But I left my job. I was a supervisor at Hancock Fabrics, which was like a dream job for me because I love fabrics and sewing. You know, I learned how to sew. My librarian taught me how to sew when I was like in 6th grade. Because I told you, I always had other people, like angels, that like guided me and gave me pieces of myself. You know, it's my ancestors. That's my aunt, my great aunts, and my great grandmother. They would sew, and they couldn't afford the dresses and stuff they saw in magazines, so they would cut out patterns and make the dresses themselves, and they would fly, you know. And I learned how to do that. And I had never grown up with my family because my mom, nobody likes her on my dad's side. So she stayed away from everybody. She went to the army, and I didn't see my family, but I still ended up becoming like my dad. So she would always be like, "You're just like your dad. You're just like," and I didn't know what that meant because I didn't grow up with him. So I'll be like, "What are you talking about, lady?" Yeah. So when she stalked me, I ran away to silent meditation retreats. I went to the Vipassana Center in Atlanta, and well, no, it's close to Savannah. I forgot exactly where it is. And I wanted to live there, but they don't let you make that decision after only one sitting. So I went to a second one. When you do silent meditation, it's like 14 days of silence and 3 hours of meditation a day. And I loved it. After those 2 weeks were over, I wanted to stay. I wasn't ready to start talking again. My body loved it. I also moved out of the condo. I was renting a space in a condo with a friend from the Course in Miracles group that I had started going to. So during my Saturn return, my Saturn is in Libra. And Saturn return in Libra is about figuring out how to stop being codependent. So going no contact was very much the theme of my Saturn return in Libra, but Saturn is exalted in Libra. What does that mean? Well, in Libra, Saturn is about commerce and networking. So I did a lot of things that I remembered that I used to do, and I picked up new hobbies. Like I learned how to knit. I went to the knitting group like an old lady every Tuesday at Barnes and Noble. I went to meditation groups. I went to energy healing groups. I went to new agey stuff. I went to dance therapy. Again, I Course in Miracles group, nonviolent communication support group. I mean, I just was out in the community healing in different ways. I mean, when I went home, I was going through hell as far as like my emotions and stuff coming up all the time. Even when I went to work, I worked 2 jobs. I worked at Hancock Fabrics, and I also worked at Home Goods. It was so hard not to spend my check every week at those places. But I cried all the time. I would run to the bathroom and cry. I was always purging. I was always crying. And eventually, when I moved to Fairburn and like the woods with a friend to get away from my mom. I ended up having to run away from there because he started falling in love with me and he wanted to sleep with me. And I ended up homeless in Orlando with my sisters. Then I ended up living with my ex-boyfriend and his family. He wasn't my boyfriend at the time. I was like, I'm homeless in Florida. And he was like, come stay with us. And I was like, all right. And we ended up having like the worst relationship ever in life. But during that time, I always just kept healing, working on myself, writing in journals, drawing out my pain and suffering. If you look at my blog, How to Heal Ambient Abuse, or the science of healing ambient abuse, which I put in the description, you'll see some of those drawings from my journals and stuff. But I worked through my karma, basically. Honestly, I ended a cycle of karma. I beat out the narc, okay? What ended up happening is that she ended up scapegoating all of my brothers and sisters. And at the end of the cycle, the 10-year, maybe it was 7, 8, 9, 8-year cycle, she ended up in jail. And I was like, ding dong, the witch is dead, witch, oh witch, the wicked one. I was like, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting to me. She ended up in jail because her and the golden child ended up getting into a fight because he kicked him. He kicked her out of him and his fiance's apartment because she was cutting the fool and stealing people's money and not paying rent and acting like a big baby because people were holding her accountable. And so she came back to his apartment unannounced, walked into their house, and my brother was like, give me my key. And they ended up in a scuffle and she ended up in jail. And now, honestly, I mean, my younger brothers and sisters are just now, I'm 10 years through, and they're just now beginning to see and heal and maybe face some things that I've been facing for 10 years. So we still can't have a relationship because I thought that after that they saw what I saw, that they was calling me crazy for and blaming me for, that we would be able to have Thanksgiving dinner and stuff together. But no, they're still very much so in it and brainwashed. Yeah. And so that's something I've also had to heal from, like letting go of my siblings and realizing that we may never be friends. You know, we may never be cool because I'm just going to always be further along in my process, and I need something. I'm just not involved in the emotional violence. You know. During that time as well, I went to psychologist. I went to trauma healers. I was obsessed with soul retrieval and trauma. Just studying case studies, and that's how I became really good at it. As far as like my business goes, within myself, I'd still do it just about every day within myself. Along with helping other people. As part of my life path, I come from a lineage of shamans. I am a feminine shaman, for better or for worse, you know. And part of having compassion for other people is me having been through the same thing. I will admit, in my younger years, I have been arrogant, like being born with a wisdom from God, from the goddess, having the goddess like on my skin, in my mouth, in my mind, made me feel like everybody was stupid growing up. Like I look out at like everybody, I'm like, what are you guys doing? You know. But I had to learn to have compassion in order to help people. You can't help people and look down on them. So I suffered greatly. And I know a lot of you are the same, where the only reason, part of the reason why you go through what you go through and have gone through is so that you can help other people. You feel a calling on your life. You know, I didn't. Honestly, I wanted to get away from spiritual stuff, and I just wanted to be a normal girl and have a husband and maybe be a psychologist and, you know, have my babies and whatever. I didn't want to go through Alice in Wonderland, you know. When I was going through my Saturn return, I saw God's plan and destiny for my life, and I was angry. I was like, I feel used, but I mean, I signed up for it, so I ended up getting over it, you know. Any questions? Yeah, they do crave their narcissistic mom. I crave my mom, but I had to realize, that she's not a mother. You know, I had to, part of trauma healing is placing things in a correct place, putting things in their right position, meaning, you know, calling it a thing what it is. Like, my mom, she has the label of mom, but she doesn't carry the archetype within her. Not in my relationship with her anyway, you know. So I had to remove that archetype from her, from my perspective, and see her for who she really is. And that way I can put that archetype where it belongs. Because what ends up happening is if you don't do that, even if you do it consciously, you have to do it from a cellular level, then you'll end up placing the wrong archetypes on the wrong people and end up in abusive relationships over and over again. So that's why it's dangerous as well to grow up in a narcissistic family system, because what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right, and, you know, what's beautiful is ugly, you know, what's ugly is celebrated, violence is celebrated, you're looked up to for being a bad bitch in a narcissistic family system. You know, this is why our society is the way it is. That's exactly why. It's because, you know, we have generations of people who were raised off of MTV and VH1 and BET, and wanting to be like the images that they see on TV, because honestly, what you have around you is what you will become. What you see every day is what you will become. What you listen to every day is what you will become. And so it's kind of hard to stay grounded spiritually and listen to junk and see junk. It's like junk food. My father is a narc, and my little sister has taken over a lot of manipulative behaviors, so much so that she directly gaslighted me. So I know part of the feeling. Yes, Sanaa. Yeah, I remember when my little, what's so heartbreaking about the siblings piece, I remember when my brothers and sisters were little, they were my babies because I took care of them. What's so painful too about putting things in the right place is that I had to stop being their mom. And they resent me because I have taken away probably the only person in their life that has been kind to them. But they, like Sanaa is saying, they gaslight me. They try to treat me or take over where my mom left off or something. I don't know what they're trying to do, but it's not going to happen over here. And so they have to learn through me being no contact from them how to treat me, because being around narcissistic people and telling them with words does not make them change anything. They don't believe you. You have to leave them alone. Love Pink says spade. Yes. Yeah. And so now if in my life, my guides and my ancestors are like celebrate because I've reached a new pinnacle of emotional health, of self-acceptance, and being able to my goal has always just to be self-contained and to be self-actualized. And it doesn't matter if I have the things that this world deem successful. Not to me. I care about how I feel inside. Am I okay? Intuitive Guidance Tarot. My family is toxic, so I moved away. Sun in the 9th. I'm happy now, but since I have a North Node in the 4th, EM, especially, I'm supposed to keep the relationship with them. Well, I have North Node and Cancer in the 11th house. Okay. So that means my South Node is in Capricorn. And what's interesting is that both of my parents are Capricorns. So when your parents have a sun sign in your South Node, there's nothing they can really teach you. Interesting. Because your sun sign isn't who you are, it's what you're evolving into. Anyway, no, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to be around your family. It just means like having a North Node in Cancer just means that you will be known for your motherly touch, touching, being there for people in a personal way. Your relationships, your personal life, your personal space is what's important. Your intimacy is what's important in lifetime. It has nothing to do with staying around your family if they're toxic. Actually, a North Node in Cancer with a note breaking away from old traditional ways of being with family and paving a new lane and teaching other people what it actually means to have intimacy in life. Because when you have a North Node in Cancer or in the 4th house, you didn't learn it from your mom. When that's the way the universe teaches us lessons or alchemizes energies within us. You go through a suffering, and then you learn. You go, oh, that hurts. It's painful to live without love, to live without a mom, and it sends you on a goose hunt, a journey to find out what mother is. What is mother? And so you probably will have more of a scientific relationship with that archetype than most people, because you have to actually study it in order to have it in your life. You have to, when you what studying does, and chanting and reading and engulfing yourself in the energies, because you're suffering, it draws that energy close. Like I said before, what you pay attention to, you become. What does it really mean to have a Sun and Pluto on top of each other? Not on top of each other, in a 12th house in Libra Vedic astrology. Well, I don't go off of Vedic or Western. I just give my interpretation. So what I do in order to interpret a chart, everybody successfully, look at the different puzzles of the energies. So what Sun conjunct Pluto, that would look like maybe a Sun in Scorpio. Okay, now what's the 12th house? The 12th house is where you're going to have an initiation, basically, which means you're going to suffer. So you're going to suffer a father, because the Sun represents the father. You're going to suffer a father who is most likely violent. or he wasn't around and you hear stories about him being violent. You're going to suffer. The sun has to do with your light. Leo energy is your inner child, and it's your ego energy. Your ego's no more. So this lifetime, I'm just going to tell you the end result you're supposed to have. Okay. You can look through my Pluto series and look up the specific energies, but the goal this lifetime is for you to get rid of your ego. And in order for you to have no ego, you had to go through what you went through. That can also denote sexual abuse, violence, and you learn how to have compassion for those parts of yourself, and that will lead you to have compassion for others. All right. In Capricorn, in Capricorn, North Node. I don't understand. Are you saying you have? I'm going to assume that you're saying that you have Capricorn in your North Node. Oh well, honey, you're here to get down to business. Okay, you're here to be a leader, and definitely to break away from being coddled. It's like a South Node in Cancer feel sorry for themselves. They feel like everything's too heavy, too much. You're welcome, Sanai. And so you have to learn that in life, you gotta work, and you gotta work hard, and you might have to work alone, and you're not gonna all the time. Yes, I follow KRS. Thank you, Atreyu. Atreyu. I've seen them. I have Pluto, Mars in the 12th house. Your video helped. Thank you, Billy Angel. Yeah, so yeah, with North Node and Capricorn, it'll be tough for you to learn to be recognized for your hard work this lifetime. And it'll be hard work for you to be recognized. And you won't want to go through the process, and the North Node in Vedic astrology is not seen as good luck. I have North Node in Taurus in the 8th house, and my South Node in Scorpio. Not talk to me, sis. Okay, that's real simple. You already know. One of the hardest things for South Node and Scorpio is to not use other people's resources to get what they want and to not manipulate people. So Taurus, much so like its brother Capricorn, is about hard work, but it's about like tilling the soil. Taurus is about like tilling your soil, So you will be tilling the soil of healing your family issues because of that 8th house energy there. Your family, in the 8th house, much like Scorpio energy, is about your family dynamics. And either your family did a good job at taking responsibility and looking at your South Node. No. So you have to teach yourself and train yourself and raise yourself to take responsibility for all the hard stuff in your life, and you just might have to do it all by yourself. Atreyu are so interesting. My neighbor has South Node in Cancer. It's hard to understand her. I've a crush. Oh, she has South Node in Cancer. She wants to be taken care of. Hey, Shamrock. If you take care of her, you'll be her best friend. She wants to be loved. She wants to be mothered. But see, when you have your South Node is energies of your childhood, you come into this life living out your South Node, and then eventually you have to learn to give it up, because that's where you start having doors closed in your face. Your South Node is where you'll have doors shut in your face in your life, and you'll be like, why can't I make this happen for me? Why can't I make this happen? Like, if you, like, for me, I have a South Node in Capricorn in the 5th house. I used to be powerful and famous. No, not this lifetime, girl. Okay. So and also when you have South Node in Capricorn, and South Node in the 5th house is hard. And in Capricorn, it's rough, because it's like you have this been there, done that attitude, because you're like, I've seen it all, I've done it all, nothing's impressive. And so you have to work really hard at not having this flippant attitude about everything. Like, like the universe literally had to send me to Peru, to Machu Picchu, you know, to go explore life, because I'll be bored. Like, life is boring to me. Like, people are not interesting. Life is boring. You see, that's my attitude. And so I have to make an effort to have enjoyment. Wow, Miss Crystal Elizabeth says, wow, so what if the Capricorn North Node is in the 4th house? Okay, so, just to explain what your North Node is this lifetime, it is growth. It is where you are being led to experience growth. Very uncomfortable energies most of the time. Your South Node is where you have an excess of energy. The universe is about balance. And so I always look at both at the same time. So if I'm looking at your South Node, then your lessons, and also the North Node is where you'll have some fame, maybe, as far as what you'll be known for in the community, as far as helping other people, because most of the time where we have our most broken pieces is the medicine we have to offer the world. Capricorn, so 4th house in Capricorn in general is really rough. Your mom most likely was cold. It's all about decorum, tradition, or Capricorn energy can be kind of BS when it comes to mom energy, because they'll do everything right on the outside, but there's no intimacy. Okay, so again, this is a placement to where you're being led to be about the business of becoming a mom, like the system of becoming a mom, or you know, like taking that energy and making a business out of it, making a business out of mothering people. Does that make sense? But first, you will have to learn what intimacy is in order, and that could be with any type of business. You could be the mother of people that you work around or work with. You can have your own business to where you're giving compassion and the love that you didn't get. But that's not a super auspicious placement. That's a tough placement. You have, you're just in love, Miss Blue Flame, with that moon in Cancer. But also, guys, when you're looking at your North Node, look at the trines and the squares, and because a lot of times you come into this life with a North Node that's incomplete from past lives. I see it all the time when I'm working with people's astrology charts. I look at their chart and I'll be like, oh, you didn't complete your mission last lifetime. And that's how hard some people's yes, what I am, I you can look up that service, my website. Well, it's a fairygoodlife.com. It's most of the time in the description, unless something goes wrong. Oh my God, so true, Miss Crystal Elizabeth says, with my cold mother. Thank you. Yes, I'm just realizing how cold I am, even though I am a Cancer sun. Thank you. Yeah, it's a coldness that comes from having to cut. When you're growing up and your mom doesn't connect with you, then you have to shut down those facilities inside of yourself in order to survive. The benefit, that's a good question. Pluto in the first house, what could the benefit be? You know what, the benefit in all of our charts is that we take responsibility for it. Until eventually you self-actualizing and you realize that the only problem you have in your life is you and how you respond to things and what you allow to happen and how you do or you don't take care of yourself. All right. South Node, Scorpio, 12th house. But what's this about? What that about? Let me see. I have South Node Capricorn. I'm sorry. I realize that I had already answered one of your questions and I have not answered this person. I have South Node Capricorn in the 3rd house and Cancer North Node in the 9th house. Oh, okay. Although the North Node is not benefit in Cancer, it's an enemy of Cancer, a moon energy. The Jupiter makes everything better, or it expands. It will expand the negative. That's not giving you much, but you can expect yourself to travel and to be nurtured by education and learning, higher mind, religions and cultures, and maybe even getting more deeper into the deities, gods and goddesses. Yeah. Thank you for joining, Atreyu. Yes, we're growing in members. When we get to 10, we are going to celebrate. We're going to get together. I can't wait. How come it don't have the freaking sticker that I worked so hard to put on there? Okay. Yes, nut if you buck. Miss Crystal said, nut if you buck, buy nut if you buck. That's what I titled that video. How in your chart can you see if you came here to take care of your parent, like the sacrifice? Is that a thing? That's a good question. If you're, can I answer that question for real? Because the first things that come to me is that that's up to you. Let me get my charger. You don't have to take care of your parent if you don't want to. Oh, but Jesus. Oh. Yeah, you can see it in your chart. Please, if you have any malefic aspects to the mother archetype, your moon, the fourth house, then you most likely are the mother or the father in that relationship, but you're not doomed to do anything. You have definitely have a choice. Thank you, Miss Crystal, for your now some people for your donation. Most people feel like, a lot of people feel like they don't have a choice, which is what makes them suffer. But you got to be, if you want something, in your life, thank you, Miss Blueflame. If you want something in your life, you have to take it. Like nothing in this world, well, some things, if you have good, certain dharma is, there's certain grace that is given to you, and we thank God for it. But when it comes to relieving yourself of suffering, sometimes you got to be ruthless. Like how I feel personally about my mom and my dad. I take care of myself first, because they did not take care of me. They did not raise me. They gave me, now within my family, there's certain dharma, good things in the root that my family have built up in the root chakra. I did not go without anything. And we even lived in really nice neighborhoods and nice houses, and materialistically, I was always safe. You know, my mom's a Capricorn and my stepfather was a Virgo, and if they didn't do nothing else, child, they care about their image, and they worked. Okay, so I was always groomed, but the intimacy piece was missing. And so when the intimacy piece is missing, then you could also suffer in your lower chakras as well. Like I had to work hard to heal myself so that I can take care of myself. So I say this, when I finish getting myself together, if I have something extra, I will help you out. I don't have a problem. Like when mom gets older and I have extra money, I'll give her a nice place. But will I take abuse from her? No, I don't have to. Thank you, Ayurveda Visha. Yes, Ayurveda. I love you. I want to learn Ayurveda. You're amazing, Gurvi. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. I have North Node in the fifth house. Okay. Okay, famous. Fifth Scorpio and South Node Taurus in the 11th house. So sexy. Okay. Now you you may struggle with your power sexually, your magnetism this lifetime. And what exactly you're supposed to do with it, I don't know. But I know you're supposed to take responsibility for your sexual energies, and like having and the children that you have. This could be a place where you have reproductive issues, you know, maybe from past lives, from not being responsible in some way, and having too much pleasure, too much fun. Thank you so much for the donation. The Taurus energy is about like, I just want to eat, have sex, play, enjoy myself all day. And Scorpio in your North Node would denote you having some type of spiritual practice, some morals, and wanting to build a family, you know, wanting to take responsibility. So you might suffer this lifetime when it comes to like children, and maybe feel like you have to sacrifice a lot in order to have a family, you know, maybe having to sacrifice a lot for your own family members. like your siblings might feel like your children. Thank you. I was not expecting anything. No, I wasn't expecting nothing, guys. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the support. I need it. I've been going through it lately. People have actually been casting spells on me, people who I consider friends. It's been 2020 has been interesting, you know, and I've had to up my spiritual practice. I've been doing more yoga, meditating more, and eating less. Well, figuring out what to eat. My appetite's changing. I'm like going through a metamorphosis, like a freaking butterfly. Your Vita Bisha says, I might not be the same person next year. I might be like all wrapped. Sometimes I see myself just kind of like spending all my life with spirit. Well, your Vedic chart is going to be on a different elliptical. So the planets are going to probably be in different houses or different zodiac sign, because Vedic astrology goes off of where the planets actually are right now, and they're different. It's different than the seasonal astrology, that follows the equinox, spring equinox. And I appreciate all. Like I study Vedic. I study 13th astrology that incorporates Ophiuchus, which the planets do actually go through another zodiac sign. They actually go through Ophiuchus, and so all of them to me are very valid. But I had to make a decision as to what I was going to focus on as far as when I give chart readings. And I decided to just stay with what I grew up studying, because I've been studying astrology ever since I was 12. Is it Vipassana meditation that you do? Lately, I've been chanting when I meditate. It's been more often and more frequent because I have nothing else to do. Like, I'm in Peru. I don't talk to my family. I don't know anybody here. So I chant in the morning when I wake up to Ganesha, and then I do Lakshmi, and then I do Gayatri. Now, one of my friends told me to do that one. But Vipassana, okay. Vipassana meditation is about focus on the sensations in your body. And I do that constantly. Vipassana helps you to get rid of, they call it obtrusions, ascaras that are in your body, the pain and suffering that we feel, like the agitation and, even guilt. It's all sensations in the body. It's kind of like the trauma healing that I do. It was very interesting when I ran into it. Sending love fruit is really helpful to me lately. I can't get enough bananas and oranges. Lately, I've been attracted to yogurt. I want to eat light. Usually in the past, I love a savory meal. I love eating. I love food. But maybe, when you're going through a transformation and the cells of your body change, you don't really have an appetite for like heaviness. I don't know, I just want to like be light. And I'm actually listening, because sometimes, it's taken me a while to allow the transformation to actually plant itself into my real life, because I didn't want to change. I'm like, I don't know that person. I don't know. I don't know this yogi. What the hell? Like, I don't do yoga. I hate yoga. You know. So yeah, I advise everybody to study all of the astrology systems. You'll learn something new about yourself with all of them. I don't debate on which one is right or wrong. They're all right. They're all pretty accurate. I'm drinking hot water all day, so soothing and cleansing. Yeah, I have my lime ginger hot water that I drink from time to time. What am I? That is the question. I love that name. Oh, that's a fantastic correlation. What do you find in being overweight? I feel like it's correlated to caring family unjust. Well, for me, my overweight tends to be me not processing my emotions. I really gained a lot of weight, and I had a hard time taking it off during my not my last relationship, but my relationship before the last. I wanted to protect myself from being attractive to men. I didn't want any other man to come up to me ever again. Like, that's how I felt. I felt like every guy that ever came up to me didn't love me for me. They only loved me, they only wanted me for sex. And when I realized just how real that is, it hurt me. It hurt my feelings. No, I'm definitely overweight. I'm not offended by things like that. Thank you, pretty ladies, for the I'm not as overweight as I was, because I started to heal that problem I was having inside. But most of the time, overweight is protection. You can work with the angel Jabamaya to help you lose weight, by the way. You can look it up, Jabamaya. Yeah, it's overweight is used for protection. Overweight can also be from past lives of carrying energies from other people. If you work with other people, or a healer or something like that, and most of you are, even if you don't know it, if you absorb other people's energies, then you'll tend to eat. I realized I started paying attention to that after I talked to certain people, I would go eat. And I started realizing, I'm like, ooh, okay, what feelings am I stuffing? The key to healing kind of things that happen automatically without thinking is to start just becoming aware, and not judge yourself about it. Just start becoming aware, and even while you're eating, like, why am I eating right now? And then you'll eventually start learning why you do stuff, and that's usually the beginning of the end. I've been fatter, and I've also been skinnier. I understand. When and how did you realize your mother was a narc? Probably before my Saturn return. I love yogurt too, Blue Flame, lately anyway. I'm not usually a yogurt person. But they are here in Peru. They have lots of I've never seen, I guess I've never searched it. Maybe in the States they do have these things, don't they? They have everything in the States. But yeah, I had to get out of that mindset that my body belong to anybody else but me, or that I didn't have control over who I allowed in my sexual space or whatever. I don't know if that's was the problem, but it, you know, when you have a booty and hips and breasts like everybody else, I don't know. Guys are wired so weird. How they're wired can kind of hurt our feelings sometimes. I don't know. What's up, pretty lady? You did a healing on me, and at first I had no clue what you were talking about. 5 months later, it's becoming crystal clear. Thank you. That's so cool. Yeah, it's like that sometimes. Yes, overeating for me is definitely it's a comfort and a defense mechanism, and it has to do with me processing my emotions. My moon is in Libra, and so I'm like, I'm cool. Everything's always cool. Everything's cool. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't cool. Everything ain't cool. Mm. All right. Well, I don't see anybody else's questions. Thank you guys so much. I love that statement. I understand that my body is only trying to protect me and support me. It's time for me to help her now. Yeah, that's kind of why I stopped overeating as well, because I'm like, let me be more loving towards my digestive system. And I go through phases to where I am loving, and then I go through phases to where I ignore myself, which is unloving. And so as I get older, I'm almost 40. In 10 years, I'll be in the old wise crone stage. I'm a Scorpio sun, and Scorpios are born at menopause stage. I've always been an old lady, but now I can't wait to be like, girl, I'm 50. Don't you ain't telling me nothing. I'm 50. You know what I'm saying? Only a Scorpio would look forward to getting older. Only Scorpio women that I talk to. Will you do Life Path 11 and 22 video? Yes, I want to do it live though. I'm learning that, you know, life is in stages and in cycles, is non-linear. And the more gentle you are with yourself, the faster you heal. Most people try to force things, and the body and the mind doesn't respond well to that at all. It's just like if you were on the outside of yourself and you tried to force you had a friend that tries to force you to do, you won't want to hang out with them. You know, so a lot of us create splits inside of ourselves to where we're putting ourselves at odds with ourselves. So be gentle with yourself. Take your time. If you're trying to lose weight, just start slow. Like when I work with people who are trying to change something, I say don't change anything for like a week and just observe yourself. Maybe journal, you know, just observe yourself. And sometimes that's enough to get started. All right. How do I know which life path I am? And then I'm going to go. You add up your birthday. Say my birthday is 10/26/1981. I add up all those numbers. Peace.